Okay, well, we at the stage where we about to put the heads back on. As you can see, I've cleaned my block face off. Took some green pad, Scotch Guard pads, green. Cleaned the heads out really good, and I did the head and I did the block face. As you can see, cleaned it the best I could. Wiped it down real good. Make sure it had no residue left behind. And I just used some PB Blaster to help me clean my heads off. But whatever you use, you know, try to clean off as best you can. Also do the head face. So right now, I've cleaned all my threads. I did it off camera already. I didn't have that tool that ARP uses. If you don't know, I'm gonna be using the ARP studs. But they recommend that we clean the heads out. Well, not the heads, but the you know, what we screw our studs into, clean the threads and all that. And if you don't have that special tool, the I think it's called a thread tracer. Yeah, thread tracer. If you don't have that special tool from ARP, then just cut you some slots in one of your old boats. I put 2 slots in and that cleaned it up pretty good because we want to get them studs in there hand tight. So then also, before we put the studs in there, we want to make sure that we don't have any type of antifreeze or water in down in the hole. So you take your compressor and blow it out. I've already done it, but want to make sure it's dry. Now that we got that out, so now remember, when we took the heads off originally, you had one special boat, the shortest boat in the set. Oh, let me show you what set I got if you're wondering. This is the small block Chevy. Let's see if you can see that. There you go. 6.2 liter, 234, 4342. So when you took your heads off, you know there's one special bolt or stud, and that goes here. So you want to make sure that you put that back. And it's always on the driver's side, this very first one. And the studs use a number 5 hex. Number 5 hex to help you get them in. You just want these hand tight. They don't do any type of torquing on these, just to get them in there hand tight. And see how easy that's going in? Because I've already cleaned them out. Cleaned my threads out with my little makeshift thread chaser. So go ahead and put that one in so we don't get it mixed up with anything. Boom. And then we just go down the line and put them in. All the rest are the same. All the rest are the same. And make sure you don't get the ends mixed up, okay? One end is coarse and then the other end is a fine thread. So, you know, you want the coarse end to go in to the block. Then of course you got your, where it takes the hex. So, you know which end goes where. I'm going ahead and opting to put mine in now to help me line up the head when I go to put it in. But you can put them on after you have the head on, so. But not before you put your head gasket on, of course. All right, now that I got all the studs hand tight, I'm gonna put my head gasket on. And they come with the kit. Here's the part number for the head gasket. 126-54622. The GM head gasket. Open it here. Now the only thing is about the head gasket, you need to make sure that you have it to the front. It's clearly marked. what's front. See that front? Of course, this will be the front. So my head gasket will go to this side. All right, there we go. Okay. Now we can put a head on. Now I've already cleaned, once again, I've cleaned my head, blew it out, make sure there's no debris and all that. But as you can see, I've cleaned my head face. I'm just gonna install the head on. All right, now that I got the head on, I wanna be sure that, first thing I do is make sure I put this ground back where it was. Remember, this ground was a 13. So I put all my bolts back where they was at. It came out the head. So before I start torquing anything, I'm gonna make sure I put the ground back where it was. I don't want any issue when you go to start it up and you got a bad ground or something. So I'm gonna do that. And tighten it up with a 13. Then also you have the 15 for the wiring, that holds the wiring harness to the head. Make sure you put that back. And that just holds the wiring harness in place here. Okay. All right, so now, ERP recommends we make sure that the, all the bolt flanges and all that, where the washer is gonna sit, we'll make sure all that is dry and no oil or nothing like that. They're already done, but just for, for the camera, I'll just make sure all that's dry. And it is. Blowing them out, cleaned it with brake cleaner, part cleaner. And the next step is to, you want to make sure your washers, the washers that come in the kit, are completely dry of oil and everything like that. And make sure they're clean of oil, wipe them off, whatever. Wipe them off. And then place them down in position. There we go. And then the nut. So I'm gonna put all my washers and nuts on, then we'll start the torque sequence. All right, so now we got the head on, studs in. ARP sends you in the kit. They supply you with some assembly lubricant, fastener assembly lubricant. Comes in the kit. And they want you to put some lubricant at the bottom of the threads, on the stud, and then on the washer face. I already did some. And I didn't really put it all on video because I think you can figure that out. But just put a little bit of lube on the face of the nut, then some at the bottom of the threads, and then just screw it on. And at that point, and I'm just putting these on hand tight. And now that we have those on, we are ready to torque. And we'll be torquing in 3 different stages: 40 in sequence, then 80 foot-pounds in sequence, and then finally 115 in sequence. So we'll get set up and start torquing. All right, so now we've applied our fastener assembly lube. We're ready to torque. Here's the torquing sequence, if you can see that. We're gonna do 1, of course, 1, 2. As you can see, we're gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're gonna do it in 3 stages. Gonna do 40 foot-pounds, then 80, and then finally at 115. All right. So start here at number 1. And by the way, if I didn't...
the boats that come in your kit, there's a 12.14 millimeters. 12.14 millimeters. Alright. I have to get a shorter extension here for number 2, which I have. See if we get that down in there. Alright, number 3. Four. And 5. Alright. 6. 6 and 7. Short extension for 8. We got 9. And 10.
And 10. Now we need to go to 80 foot-pounds. Same sequence. And then 115. All right, guys. So we've torqued the heads down, and I was put my rocker arms and rocker arm studs in and torqued them to procedure. Now, one thing is, and I wasn't able to record it, but one thing you need to note when you have your damper on and your pulley, supercharger pulley, you're not able to see the, when you dot to dot. And according to procedures, they want you to be able to see dot to dot. Here, if you notice here, position 1 and 2 of the crank gear and the timing actuator gear, positions 1 and 2, you see that they want you to be, that's top dead center when on the exhaust stroke. Okay, so of course, as you can see, when you got the timing cover on and you got your damper and your pulley on, you can't see that. So that's why, I guess I got a little bit ahead of myself, and I should put my heads on and did my rocker arms and all that before I did put the timing cover in, put my damper and all that back on. But no problem. Luckily, I was at top dead center when I put my heads on. I knew that, so I just marked mine. I'm not sure if you can see that down in there, but if you can see that little white mark there, I kind of tried to mark mine. my damper and the timing cover where I was at top dead center. So that was, you know. So anyway, I just lined that up, and you know, according to the procedure there, you read it there, you pretty much at top dead center when you're on the exhaust stroke, and that's the firing order. And then basically when you're at that position, you want to torque 1, 2, 7, and 8 to 22 foot-pounds, the exhaust rocker arms, and then the intake rocker arms 1, 3, 4, and 5. And then once you do that, you rotate the crank 360 degrees, and then you tighten the exhaust rocker arms 3, 4, 5, and 6, and the intake 2, 6, 7, and 8, 22 foot-pounds. And at that point, you should be good, because these are hydraulic lifters, and so there's not a lot of adjustment based on how it's designed. So at that point, once you follow that procedure, you're ready to put your valve covers on. Now I can note that, you know, anybody who orders from Texas Speed, double and triple check your order, because myself, I've had Texas Speed makes some quality products, but for some reason they sent me a lot of wrong stuff. I had to end up using my stock rocker arm studs, because the studs they sent me was too long. It had all kind of play in my rocker arms with the studs they sent me, and come to find out the studs were too long, so I ended up reusing my rocker arm studs. Also, I upgraded to the Johnson lifters. Now the Johnson lifter, I think it's part number 2110. That lifter is a little bit taller than your stock lifter or your LS7 lifter. It's a little bit taller, which required me to go to a 7.825 push rod. So that being said, the stock length of a push rod for LT4 is 7.850. So as you can see here, these are the push rods I went with, 7.825. And I had to do that because, once again, my lifters, I went with the Johnson lifters, the 2110. They are a tad bit taller than your stock lifter. So by me going with a taller lifter, I had to go with a shorter push rod. And not by much. As you can see, you know, the stock is 7.850. I went to a 7.825 push rod. And that's because I went with a Johnson lifter, which is a tad bit taller. All right, so I'm gonna do my valve covers and start putting the front of the engine and all that back together, basically putting the engine back together, headers and all that. I don't really think you care to see all that. That's pretty straightforward on putting it all back how you took it off. I can say that when it comes to the supercharger, I went with the stock supercharger, stock pulley, upper pulley. Now, when it comes to your gaskets, GM recommends that you do not reuse your gaskets. So I had to, so me being, you know, trying to be conscious, I went ahead and ordered the gaskets. So let me get those. Get those gaskets. And let's see. Yep, so I got the gasket kit for the supercharger. There's the part number, 126-79527. 79527. And let's see, the kit comes with all the gaskets and new bolts. So once again, GM recommends that you do not reuse your old gaskets when you take the supercharger off. So you need to order this kit if you want to be safe like I do. So don't say I didn't warn you. All right, so we'll chime back in at the first startup. But for right now, it's just a matter of me putting the valve covers back on, putting everything back the way I took it off, timing box, all that, cold air intake, all that. You don't need to see all that. I think the hard part is done. And of course, put my ejectors and all that back in. That's pretty straightforward. So once I get it all back together, we'll do a first start. And then we'll start trying to get her tuned. All right, peace.